Hello everybody, this is Blaster Toad, and now for something a little bit different than usual. Okay, gotta bring my hands up here to talk with them. So iPhone 10. Is it too pricey? And believe it or not, this is not actually about the iPhone 10, this is about prices in general for products that are harder to quantify the value of their cost. Okay? And just give me a moment before everybody goes crazy on this. Because I know Apple products, hot topic, blah blah blah, whatever. I work with phones. I have been for 5, 6 years on and off. Okay, at different stores, and I've taken great amount of my personal time to make myself well informed about manufacturing processes, operating processes, and day-to-day use of multiple devices across multiple ecosystems, multiple platforms, and multiple brands. Now, what has come out or is just coming out here in the next couple days, will soon be available, is the iPhone 10. And here is what is getting me with it. So the iPhone 10 here in Canada, starting base model 64 gig phone is $1,300. Is this too much? There's other phones out there that are $1,300. Okay, of course, we're gonna have people argue, okay, this, that, blah, 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 whatever, the value of it, things. I find a lot easier time myself justifying the cost of the other units at around the same price. But here is the big thing, and something that I'm seeing all over the internet with discussions of the iPhone 10, as well portrayed by this comment I found here. So this is a comment from Widowmaker on Mobile Syrup, one of the members speaking on an article, a new review on the iPhone 10. And he brings to light, oh, it's really sad that this other commenter sounds a little bitter, and why would you care what somebody else spends their money on? Well, Widowmaker, let me answer this question for you. Why would one of us in the cell phone world who tries to inform ourselves about the product worry about what someone else is spending their money on? With someone spending their money on a product like the iPhone 10, which, if we're being honest here, is an iPhone 8 with a different screen. That's all it is. It has an alternate biometric system, doing the Face ID instead of the Touch ID, and it has a screen made by Samsung in it, an AMOLED there, with a fair pixel density. It's not even the greatest out there. Is $300 more than Apple's other product with the exact same internals. Okay, no difference in processor, no difference in camera or functionality. There's a little bit difference in interface because of the new display and because of Touch ID, but two hardware differences that have been done on other devices are bringing that to a $300 difference. And yet it's very similar materials to their other units, and so on and so forth. What justifies this price? And should they be at that price to begin with? Apple, I'm going to bring up some numbers from 2015, okay, just because they are the most compelling. The 2016 numbers and first quarter and second quarter 2017 numbers are pretty darn close, but the 2015 numbers really rang outstanding. Okay, so in 2015, just to set this all up for everybody, in the mobile world, Apple sold 14% of all phones. Okay? That's a fairly big amount for just being one of hundreds of companies selling phones. They were not the top seller. Okay? They may have had the top model, because they only sell one phone a year, or used to anyway. So they may have had the top model in 2015 for sales, but they only sold 14% of all phones sold. Yet, for that 14% of all phones sold, they took home 80% of the profit of all sales made on cell phones. Great for their stockholders and all that, but that is an obscene amount of profit that people like you and me are handing to Apple. Where's the justification for that cost? Where is their justification for that sort of profit margin where they're not now reinvesting it? Their stockholders are actually, at this point in time, quite upset with Apple that they aren't using the money they have sitting in the bank. There's money just sitting there that they have no idea what to do with, that they're throwing into a project here, project there, but is sitting there not being reinvested, making their stockholders money. And their stockholders are upset because of this, because it's not being reinvested, because they just have too much that they're sitting on. And what's allowed this is people feeling that they have to have this product. And they are putting out their money for a product that they may not know how or why they're justifying it. Okay? And why this concerns some of us that work with this every day is because when people, the general public, starts putting their money into things like the iPhone 10 or even the iPhone 8 and 7 before it, where the justification to what it does for how that person's going to use it, the price justification, the value proposition is very hard to show to a customer. The only people we're selling iPhones to are the people coming in currently with iPhone saying, I need another iPhone. We are not getting any new iPhone customers. We are only selling in our store to people who come in and say, hey, I need the iPhone. That's it. They are current customers. They've been told to come in, get a certain product. Those are the only people buying iPhones right now. Okay? Everybody else is looking at alternatives because they have a much better value proposition. Okay? And this is how consumers should look at the world, is weigh your value proposition. As soon as us as consumers start not worrying about the value proposition and start just giving a company any dollar value that they so ask for their latest product with the negligible differences or significant differences, however you want to argue it, when we start just giving the money, we then give away our power as the consumer. And with so many people giving away their power as a consumer, we no longer have power. And that's why we are concerned when people are willing to go out and put $1,500 on a reiterative device, okay, on a device that has not brought any new changes, is not pushing any technologies forward, is not bringing anything new to the table. When a device like that is having such a high price tag that people are still putting their money towards, it is signaling that company saying, hey, we're still willing to pay this, charge us more. See where we stop. And as consumers, that's very dangerous. We have people going out of their means, not being able to pay other bills, okay, having issues coming up with money for food because the devices they feel that they are required to purchase, saying, oh, I need an iPhone. Well, there's other options here that are quite within your means, but no, you need an iPhone and you cannot explain to me why. Okay, here's the iPhone. It is the costlier device, and now you're having trouble with your finances and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Okay? We're giving away the power of consumers to these larger corporations, and then we're expecting the governments to help us, especially here in Canada. This is a big thing here in Canada. Oh, let the CRTC, the governing body kind of looking after all radio and television stuff here in Canada, like, let them take care of it. Like, when are they going to bring us lower prices? When are they going to mandate our data packages and so on and so forth? Or when are these consumer rights boards going to step in and stop the high cost raising of phones or of other devices? They aren't. Why should they? Why would they? They're getting paid to sit there, do their own damn thing, and not really worry about us. And until we make a stinker, until we stop paying for these devices at these outrageous costs, okay, especially a unit, again, not pushing anything new forward, not showing anything new, being just as costly as a forefront running device with newer technologies in it, and yet consumers are putting their money towards this, now that's raising the price for everybody else, because all the other companies are seeing this and they're saying, hey, look at what we can charge, look at what the market is sustaining. And the market is not sustaining it. It is putting us in a bad place as individuals, as a society. Okay, now we do not have the option of some of the lower cost devices we used to. A lot of people are being priced out of any performance model devices or even quality level devices and are being forced to, quite honestly, purchase garbage or things with horrible security flaws in them because any decent device has been priced out of their reach. And if we as consumers decide to step back and say, hey, nope, this generation, we are not touching it. And they saw a massive, and I say this has to be a massive decline in sales for what they regularly forecast, because the consumer says, "Hey, wait, no, forget this, guys. Like, come on, where's your justification of cost? Sell me on this instead of just saying, yeah, here, take my money." Um, then we're gonna see some changes. Okay, when we as the consumers step up and make a change and force the hands of these companies, that's when we're gonna see changes. Until that time, nothing's gonna change. Our data prices are gonna keep going up. Our cell phone costs are going to keep going up for hardware and for financing and for monthly plans and usages and overages. Everything's going to continue inflating when the market cannot sustain it right now. I see this day to day, people having issues with their cell phone plans because it is at a point where it is already unsustainable. Yet people are still fighting and putting aside other bills and getting themselves in other debts or other troubles to keep this cost where it is, because they feel that these toy devices, they are not necessary. These toy devices are something that they need, and just handing their money out saying, here, take my money, nothing's changing. Our prices keep going up because nobody is willing to say stop. Okay? This is also propagating into video game industry, which I've talked about a couple other times. With personal boycotts that I do myself, that I will not buy from certain publishers in different stores. Okay, in our area here, we have a lot of stores that have closed in our small town because of ease of access at a larger store, at a Walmart. Okay, I'll just throw that name out there. Okay, at our local Walmart, they have multiple times more traffic than all of our downtown core. And we have lost in the last 3 years multiple small businesses because of this. Okay, because of that ease, because of the, hey, take my money, I can get everything done, or I don't want to do my research, this is the new phone, I guess that's what I have to pay attitude, and the consumers expecting the government to protect them or to step in and regulate pricing. It's not going to happen. Okay, so everybody, take this as what it is. It is not about the Apple device. It is not about other stores. It's not about any particular thing. It's about everything in general. Why are we concerned? Some of us who take a look at these things from the long-term perspective, from an industry inside perspective, why are we concerned about what somebody else may pay on a device or where they may be shopping or whatnot? It's because right now the consumers are supporting a already unsustainable cost, an already unsustainable environment of sales, and they are expecting someone else to come protect them. Instead of using their power with their wallets and their money as the consumer and saying, nope, this has to change, this is unsustainable, and here's where things have to be. Here is where we are, as the market, willing to pay. And until we all band together and finally say, stop, take a look at all this, nothing is going to change. So, to Widowmaker, why would any of us care? No one forces anyone to buy anything. What do we care what people spend their money on? Because the few of you out there that just have to have a particular product, no matter the cost, you are hurting it for everybody else. You are hurting our society by not considering the value proposition or going along with the trends to say, yep, I need this particular product, no matter the cost or no matter the company's reputation or no matter their impact on the environment or their impact on their employees. Instead of holding these companies liable for costs and value propositions and sustainability in both their practices and in their sales, until we all step up and say, stop, this needs to change, the prices are going to keep getting worse for everybody. And that is why we care. So that's my rant. It's already a little bit longer than I expected it to be. So sorry about that all, but I just had to say this after reading up on a bunch of articles and doing my most recent training from Apple on their new product and all this. Like, I get all the Kool-Aid that it's like, hey, here, drink the Kool-Aid from all these companies with their, here's our sales training for our device, and here's this and that and the other thing, and this is why we're so freaking special and whatever. Okay, I get to hear it from everybody, from Apples and Samsungs and LGs and not Motorola anymore. They're shutting down all their Canada side. That's really sad. Ever since they got bought by Lenovo, but that's a topic for another day. So yeah, until the consumers step up and realize that they are the only ones with the power, and no one else is going to help them or protect them from themselves, and they have to make the hard choice and maybe keep their device for another year, or purchase the used device, or switch brands to something with a much higher value proposition. Okay, something like the Samsung A5 right now. At $500, something that's water resistant, with a fairly good camera on it, and a very energy efficient processor, gets you through a full day and more. Okay, like something like that for $500 versus a $1,300 device that you're going to do Snapchat on. Like, come on, people! Until you say stop and I'm not buying that, the prices are just going to keep going up until we in mass hurt their wallets and say, hey, bring this back down to sustainable level. Here's what the market's saying. No one's going to protect us. None of these government bodies are going to step in and regulate our pricing like so many of you are praying for. That's just an unrealistic expectation at this time. And at the end of the day, we as the consumers are the only ones with power if we exercise that. And if not enough of us realize that we are the ones with power and not enough of us go through to exercise that, it removes the power from those that are trying to do their best to exercise that power. Okay, if it's just one person not buying a particular product, or not supporting a certain company, or speaking out against them because of practices they have, that one voice is just going to get carried away in the crowd and nobody's ever going to hear it. Whereas if 30, 40, 50% of people start making a fuss, and these companies now lose 30, 40% of their sales for that quarter or that half year or whatever, then they're going to start taking out and they're going to say, okay, we got to do a device sale. We have to do better financing. We have to do whatever it takes now because the market has spoken. And we're the only ones with that power as long as we all stand together and use that power. Too many people are foregoing that power and taking it away. As they let go of their own power, they're taking it away from all us other consumers when we become just the one voice in the crowd. Okay? So I guess that's actually it now. Another rambly sign off from Blaster Toad. That's my rant on pricing of anything, really. I'm using the iPhone X as my current example, or iPhone 10. Come on, Apple, you screwed up your naming scheme. Like, that's one thing you had going for, like, even the cases. Like, all the cases in our store say for the iPhone 6, 6S, 7, and 7S. Because Apple screwed up their own damn naming scheme. Oh, man. Made some really weird choices this year, Apple. Just really, really odd choices. But anywho, that's it for this video. We'll talk to y'all later. I'm going to try to have a game stream up this week. I'm also working on some pre-recorded stuff that's probably not going to see light of day for another 2 to 3 weeks. But there will be some stuff coming up that will be pre-recorded for throughout the week. Okay, so we'll talk to y'all later, and yeah, that's it. Blaster Toad signing off for now. See you all later.